Hi, and welcome to LHA 1826. I'm Dr. Grace Karram, and I'm your professor for this course. This video is your logistics video. I'm going to walk you through all of the things you need to prepare and then do each week to be successful in this course. The first thing you need to know is that this is section 0102. It will be hosted on Zoom on Mondays from 6 to 8. We're running from May 4th until June 15th, and that's because there is the Victoria Day Monday holiday and we don't have class that day. This is a synchronous class, so on Mondays from 6 to 8, you need to be present on Zoom with your cameras on. You'll notice in our course schedule that it says the course is Monday and Wednesday. And for Wednesday, I assign you an asynchronous learning portfolio as well as a group project that you'll work on. So that is considered outside of class time, but it accounts for those extra hours. Now, if you've taken a course with me before, you know I like to give students a lot of flexibility, choosing their own activities or assignments in the learning portfolio. But I have realized that that does not work for a compressed course. Students fall behind really fast. And so instead, for this course, the 6 weeks of class time are mandatory. So please look at your schedule now and book your time for Mondays from 6 to 8. And of course, if for some reason you have something that's already been scheduled that you can't change, please consider taking another course. So yes, they are mandatory and we will see each other. And there is a participation grade associated with that. So you might be wondering what a compressed course is like if you haven't taken one before. Well, in a regular semester course from September to December, you have 12 weeks of class, followed by about 2 weeks of paper writing. And a compressed course is exactly half of that. So 6 weeks of class with 1 to 2 weeks of paper writing at the end. This means that instead of about 10 hours of coursework a week, you might have up to 20. And it can be really intense and feel like you have deadlines each week because you actually really do have a deadline every single week. There's also group work in this class. So there's times you have to schedule producing something as a group in the off hours. So it's very intensive. And if you don't feel like you have that to be able to do this summer, it's okay to wait until fall to take another course. So what do we do each week in my class? Well, at 6 o'clock, we sign on and we have a grounding activity with a question and answer time with Grace on the sort of big group discussion. Then we'll have breakout rooms where you will present a learning portfolio activity that you did on one of the readings and host this roundtable event, which is a breakout room. You'll pose 3 interesting questions to your group to try and get them chatting. And then from 7:15 to 7:30, we'll come back for wrap-up time. After that, I will open up the time for group work. This can be rescheduled. If your group wants to schedule their work time at a different time, you just have to send me an email so I know that you actually are doing the work. So in a regular course, that's from September to December, you might have about 3 readings each week. So does that mean we'll have 6 readings? Well, no, it just was too intense. I tried that once actually. Instead, you'll have 4 readings each week. And you will have the option to choose your reading. So there are 2 lists in each week because there's sort of 2 thematic areas. And then you will choose 2 readings from each of those lists. You will complete a learning activity for each module. Except this time, if you're in the PhD program, I'd like to encourage you to do a minimum of 3 readings for your learning portfolio. Master students can do 1 reading. They can always do more. Some really like to blend their readings together. But for the PhD students in this class, you do need to do more than 1 reading in each of your learning activities. And then you will host a roundtable discussion on this, which is really fun. You break out into different rooms and ask questions while you share your learning activity with your students. So that's what we're doing in terms of the workload. But how does that break down in terms of assessment? So the roundtable presentation is worth 5%, and that's actually a completion grade. If you've done it, you get your 5% for that. The learning portfolio is weekly, and each one is worth 6%, and you hand them in between weeks 2 to 6, with 2 of them being handed on at the end. So you're doing 6 learning portfolios for 36%. Then you also will be writing a major research paper and you'll submit your proposal to me by May 18th so that I can mark it. And then the group presentation will be due on June 5th, and that's worth 10%. It's a 15-minute video presentation where each group member participates. And then you do have an ongoing participation mark. And this is because it's a Zoom class. And it takes a bit of work for all of us to come into a Zoom class and bring our best, prepare questions ahead of time, answer your colleagues' questions, actually be honest about what you don't understand about the reading. And of course, there's a final research paper in which you get to take any topic in the comparative education world and write a comparative paper on it. And I always find this a really fun paper because it forces us to dive into other regions or languages or countries to understand exactly how higher ed works there. So you might be looking at this thinking like, oh my goodness, there is a deadline every week. And I need to warn you at this point that I don't like extensions. I have found in the past that when I set a date, students ask for extensions and then they get it done by, say, 5 days later. But if I set it for those 5 days later, then they all get it done. Anyways, I won't go into my details, but I feel like students actually can get it done. So you need to ask for an extension in this class a week before the deadline, just so I know that you were prepping your work ahead of time. And please don't be nervous about assessments. Don't ask for deadlines because you think it might not be perfect. There are always second chances for you to be able to have feedback from me and refine your ideas. So for logistical questions, because I'm sure you have questions after you've listened to this, if they are general course questions, there's a chance that someone else has the same question. So please go onto Quarkus, go to the discussion board and put your general questions there because we're all going to benefit from hearing these questions and getting them answered early. If they're personal questions like an extension or illness, please email me directly. Now, one of the things that's mandatory in this online class is that you book 15 minutes office hours with me within the first 2 weeks. So this is really important. This is mandatory because we're going to set your learning goals. I want to, if your real learning goal in this is to learn to do presentations better, we're going to make sure that we dive into that and then I assess you correctly. If you want to get a really good research paper out of this because you're applying for a PhD or because you have a topic that you really want to submit for publication or you just really want to write the topic, we'll make that your learning goal. Okay? So book those office hours in the first 2 weeks of class, and then ongoing office hours are very welcome. And this is a fast course, and you often need these touch points outside of class to make sure that you are on the right track. So before the first class on Monday, May 4th, what are we up to? Please go to Quarkus. You need to go through everything in Module 1. This is the introduction. It will take you about 2 hours, and that's before May 4th. You're going to read through the syllabus and all of the assignments. Get your deadline set now, please. You're going to watch 2 videos, the introduction video for the content, the topic of this course, and my interview with Dr. Hayhoe. You're going to read an article called This Barrier Between, where Shakeen and I talk about the student identity development at branch campuses in Dubai and Malaysia. And you're going to see some questions on that first intro, the questions I want you to bring to class related to this topic. You're going to complete the intro form. This is really important for me to get to know you better. And you're going to book that one-to-one meeting with me and sign up for the roundtable presentation. So it's in your calendars. And of course, even though it's the beginning of the class, it's only a 6-week class. So as you begin to read my paper, as you begin to look at some of the themes in the syllabus, start to brainstorm some ideas for your final paper. And this is what you and I will discuss in our one-to-one meeting. All right, welcome to class. I will see you Monday 4th at 6 p.m. I'm really looking forward to this. And please keep in touch throughout the semester. Goodbye.